So hi everybody, my name is Ryan Carey. Been in the TA space for a little over 10 years. Started in recruiting, got into project management and then sourcing at the same time. And then the last 4 or 5 years have been focusing on DEI program development, diversity sourcing, and intern program development. So today we'll talk about designing an impactful intern program. But really, while I focus on that, this can be applied, the steps and processes and tools can be applied to really any TA program you want, whether it be a major hiring initiative for a certain division or location, uh, diversity, equity, inclusion, or maybe internally HR, building out an HR ERG program. It all fits the bill. And yeah, if you have any questions at the end, I'd be happy to hear from you. But first and foremost, you want to set it up as a true project management program and have that foundation. So in any project management life cycle, you have to define that intention first and define those goals. And in TA and for your intern group, what it can do is create a motto. So you can copy and paste that anywhere, but both internally and externally, and live and breathe that on a day-to-day basis. For example, like we aim to empower young minds in STEM to join our industry while also diversifying the workforce and the reach it has within our community, something like that. It also signals to others within your organization how they can participate. They'll see different segments of that motto and figure out where they want to maybe represent their university, represent their demographic, or just facilitate action and outreach. And then for your group, or if you're a one-person team like I have experienced, it creates a sense of ownership and urgency for yourself and the senior stakeholders above you that you're collaborating with. And of course, a you want to create a data-driven goals because this helps set your accountability and transparency for yourself, your team, as well as senior leadership, as your leaders are driven by data-driven decisions on a daily basis. They don't need paragraphs of information. They don't need a bunch of minutia. They just want the data that drives their decisions and drives ultimately at the end of the day your funding year over year. And it also helps you establish SLAs for yourself, your team, and the hiring managers that are involved, as well as the stakeholders that facilitate the hiring. So IT, security, and all of them. And then therefore, in the back end, creates really well-defined benchmarking capabilities for future iterations. Where did things go smoothly? Where did we need some improvement? How many hires did we have this year versus, what's our next goal? How can we get there? And of course, in true project management style, setting milestones with strategic deadlines. So helps your team or yourself be accountable for all of your actions, helps you identify what your quick sprints are going to look like and for different initiatives. You can't get it all done at once, but at least this helps you segment it out, really, really refine how much time you're going to take. For someone like myself, this was incredibly important because I have ADHD, and using tools that help segment this out and measure it really let me know that like everything was going fine, and that I was, moving along segment by segment very smoothly. And by creating these sprints or little milestones, it gives you opportunity for you to celebrate, which is important. A TA program involving interns is a year-round process, and it doesn't just stop after that year. It's ever evolving. And so you get to sit back, have a little retrospectives, talk about your success, talk about wins, maybe new technologies or beating deadlines by several weeks, whatever. Gives you that moment for pause, which is super important in our lives, given how busy we can all be. And then it also establishes a life cycle for managers. When you publish this information on an internal site, they see where you're at, they see where they get involved, and they can kind of plan out their day, because you got to remember, they're not in TA. They have so many other projects and initiatives going on, and teammate issues they have to deal with. So just having this readily available takes the stress off them and makes less communication on your end. Now that you've set your guidelines and you have a strategy in place, now you want to incorporate your counterparts immediately before you start creating recs, before you're reaching out to managers about how many people they want to hire. The individuals in these groups posted here make or break your program. They're the masters of their domain. And so you want to seek to understand what issues they may have or what concerns they have before you build out an entire process. Uh, Seek to understand is one of my favorite messages one of my directors ever told me, and I live and breathe this in certain programs like this. You never know what capabilities we may be lacking, or facilities is a fun one. You may have a manager that wants to hire 20 people, but you didn't ask facilities ahead of time, and they said they only have space for like 10 butts and seats if you're going on site. So there's a huge problem if you're trying to onboard people and now they don't even have a place to live and breathe in your organization. And then most importantly, I would say is the compensation. You want to have a realistic conversation with the compensation team to make sure those market adjustments have been made. And then also, I highly recommend every single company try to have some kind of relocation or housing stipend program built into this. And the reason stems back to your diverse hiring program. So anything tied to your SVP or just your own personal passion, like myself, diversifying young minds in STEM. You can't do that if you don't have a relocation and housing stipend, but you're asking students to relocate for 3 months to say San Francisco or Denver or any high cost of living area. And then on top of that, you just never know people's economic situations, and that shouldn't be a barrier to entry to a passion project. Um, we're all struggling with unemployment right now, and the economy is pretty bad. So imagine a student that doesn't have that financial lifeline from their folks, or maybe they're a single parent, trying to bring their kids with them for 3 months to a new location and put a roof over the head while trying to continue their education. All different factors that play into this that we have to be cognizant of and have those realistic conversations with these teams. And now, after you've had those conversations, you want to create a data-rich tracker with that relevant information for each division readily available. So IT, like what kind of computers people are looking for, where are we going to ship them, when do we have to ship them by, so on and so forth. And now that you've had those strategy conversations, you're ready to release this to the wild of the rest of the company. You want to make sure it's all readily available and accessible to the community. So using something like SharePoint, Teams, or even Google Docs to house your FAQs, your how-to, your timelines, your calendars, or maybe your videos for your events, or contact lists if people want to get involved with the outreach piece. You need it all readily available, because an intern program is not a just TA thing. It's an entire community, because this is really the building blocks to a workforce development and workforce planning program. I mean, they're the most reliable aspect of making sure your company runs is this young talent. An economy can go haywire, but students are always going to be there. So you might as well take your time and really enrich this program. Excel, Tableau, and Sheets is phenomenal, especially Excel Online. Don't have it just on a document living on your desktop, because you want to have that conversations with leadership ahead of time about setting those goals and asking the data they want to see on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Make it live. Build your data sheet referencing exactly what they want. This way, they can get access to it, they can see it, and they don't have to chase you down for questions. You don't have to write daily, weekly, or monthly emails. And the amount of times that saves is freaking phenomenal. And I highly recommend that. And for the project management tools, you have that list there. Some of them are free, like Monday, and Asana has a brief window of a free membership as well. But really keeps you on task and also shows people throughout your organization where you're at, how seriously you're taking this, and how it's a measured, methodical approach, as opposed to just saying, we want interns, let's just hire interns. And of course, collaboration tools is key, not just for that quick chat stuff, but really posting your announcements, your reminders to the rest of the staff, like hiring managers or the interns when they're on site, and then most importantly, recording and hosting those meetings. That we'll dive deeper into that in a little later. Next, you're want to looking at the groundwork of your data for figuring out where is your company at now. So you're looking at all that information on the left of that university data and demographics. And collecting this data ensures you have a strategic vision, which again plays into what the leadership is looking for. They want that well thought out process and program that's going to impact their business and the bottom line. And it ensures that it's an easier access to buy-in from them so they can support you going forward. An intern program, just to have an intern program is a dangerous thing. It becomes cheap labor, and that's hopefully something you want to avoid. So really play into this, identify who your allies are, whether it be by university, specialty, or demographic. Tie this into your external research so you have a jumping off point, and then set growth goals from that as well. And again, this is another piece that ties into your EVP and your communication strategy. Next, you have that baseline of information. So you have the staff, what universities they went to, maybe what clubs and associations they belong to. They can break those barriers of entry for you for communication or getting relationships or programs or chats started. But you want to go beyond that. So the first couple bullet points should be no surprise to the TA community, but you want to go beyond those barriers, those basic entry points, but also look at the Census Bureau. Free database with several years of consecutive data in a row by university, by degree type, by demographic. So an amazing tool to expand your your outreach and your strategic vision for your intern program. If you're doing international hires, I highly recommend ResearchGate. If you haven't heard of it, it's a great website where students, department heads, and researchers of different facilities across the world make their own bio. I mean, like giant paragraphs, have little bullet points that you can cite scrape with sourcing techniques. And they have also my favorite part, almost like a family tree of interest that they pick themselves and let it be public. So you can see who else you can reach out to for gaining potential interns or for letting your fellow recruiters and sources know for higher up positions within your organization. And then, of course, tackling those diversity associations, specialty associations, and then how they are relevant to the different clubs within the universities. On the right-hand side, a very small sampling, but at this point, I have over 300 groups and societies that I've found over the last 3 years alone that I've either reached out to, inquired membership information about, prompted conversations with our ERG groups to build mentorship programs, you name it. I highly recommend you get this list going for not just your intern program, but for your all levels of hiring as well. And now the most important parts, the engagement. So I've seen a lot of different intern programs get publicized out there. And the big takeaway here is before you're even posting jobs and you're reaching out to these universities and these students, the goals should be educate and invite and present a connection to these individuals. Use your company contacts to build those bridges of communication to professors, research departments, or what have you, because most people love their alma maters and they want to get those students involved because it's maybe a potential passion project for them. Make collateral for different subject areas. I can't stress this enough. I've seen some organizations do that and others just do one cookie cutter. And it's really awkward to send something that may be, say, cybersecurity focused when you're trying to reach out to maybe a geospatial group or a communication team. or communication majors. Like they don't see that connection. They're not going to build that in their brain, and therefore you're going to lose potential audience. And in the same note, you're going to want to sell that vision and impact. If you're sending a flyer out to a university early fall from your company, they understand it's probably going to be about internships. So go beyond that. Let them know what projects they can implement or impact, what tools and technology they can get their hands on, stuff like that. And then when you're presenting to them, always have alumni presenters. Again, you want to build that connection in their brain to really motivate them and empower them. Not just about internships. They understand that's why you're there. So talk about an individual's journey from maybe undergrad to graduate school to early career, or someone going from, a hard situation to now being the CISO of a major organization, which was probably one of my favorite chats I ever heard, or what tools and technology these individuals should start to learn as opposed to what they're just learning in school, to give them that heads up. These kids are going to appreciate that, and they're going to remember that more than just a simple, we have internships and we give you t-shirts. Um, Also, don't exceed an hour because the students are busy, so are your presenters, and always have enough space or enough presenters to have Q&A sessions for different subject areas. And not on here. Also, I know there's some people don't like virtual presentations, others do. I see tremendous value in them. Yes, you're not getting that face-to-face, hands-on collaboration, but if you want to drive diverse hiring, you want to drive a diverse workforce, this is the easiest tool to do so, because we know TA doesn't always get, all the money in the world to do their functions. So we got to be realistic. You want to incorporate your HBCUs, HSIs, and other institutions like that, and you want to educate them on your tools and technology. Again, maybe they won't be your hire this next summer, but you're educating them, you're giving them that window of opportunity to learn, and building that relationship from that point forward. You can have them hire year 2, year 3, year 4, and all the better for it. You're doing a service for your company, but also for your community. And then the dreaded dead space of between offer, accept, and start date in the intern world. I've done a live example of this at the last couple of organizations I've worked at. Um, that lag time, those students, if they're not hearing from you betcha they're looking at other companies, having more interviews, doing more exploring. And so you want to set up a monthly newsletter with some of these topics here, just to engage them, let them know that you're still paying attention to them, you are excited, and that they should be excited too. And of course, talking about food and swag and all that other fun stuff kind of entertains them as well, and it gets them to interact with you. Case in point, one year, one of the organizations I worked at, we didn't do that. And while we had a high intern program potentially at the start, between 2 to 3 months, we lost over 24 people because we just never really reached out to them until like 3 weeks out from their start date. Whereas opposed to the very next year, we had a smaller hiring class, but with these newsletters, and I also created a closed LinkedIn group to communicate with them and for them to engage with each other. We lost 3, which was amazing given the industry I was in and how competitive that industry is. And then last but not least, engagement while they are at your facility. Again, the intern program isn't just to fill a void or check a box at a company. You're there to include and empower and educate and inspire these minds. Again, it's all about your workforce development plan. If you're not making them feel included, they're just going to treat you as a check off the box and move on to another company later on, and probably tell their friends if it wasn't a very engaging experience. So on the left-hand side, definitely go beyond the first 3 bullet points, because those should be pretty standard, but really develop opportunities for them to engage with your employee resource groups. Let them find their own mentor through those types of chats, or make them feel like they are belong to a community, because sometimes especially if they're remote or in a smaller office compared to the busier offices. They can feel like they're on an island. And engaging them in this capacity makes them have a sense of community. Open office hours are probably my favorite thing. I used to be a teacher, so I don't mind engaging with students and having those conversations, and I understand they have struggles. So let them know that you're there to chat. I guarantee any issues that they're coming across won't take more than a few minutes for you to handle or point them in the right direction. So you do have time for it. I did this solo by myself last year for over 80 interns. Perfectly manageable. And also gives them a sense that someone's watching and someone cares. And then on the education side, definitely have presentations with subject matter experts or open-ended ask me anythings on chat channels. Students will love this because it's unfiltered information about someone's passion project, a tool they're excited about. Again, maybe if you purposely have an alumni presenting to a bunch of students that are in your intern group. And this is a sense of education about everything your company does, but also it could ignite that spark for that intern to maybe choose a new path, a new degree, maybe a new technology, or want to reach out to that person after that conversation to have develop that relationship as a mentor. And then the end of summer symposium, I'd say, is probably my favorite part I've ever instilled in a program. You let the students talk for 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes about what they did, what they accomplished, and what they were able to impact. And this educates other interns that maybe are in other offices or departments about what technology they did, what they were able to influence for a company. But it gives them practice public speaking, gives them some clout. And then also, if you record these and send these to your managers or store them in, say, your SharePoint, these managers can leverage that for future hiring early career needs because they have a clear, concise example of who they can reach out to because they already have that experience. Well, I know that was a lot, but I'm very happy to chat about this with anybody that's interested. Happy to work for an organization full time in this capacity or even in contract work with strategy. I mean, I live and breathe developing new plans, new positions, empowering people, both internal and external. So, yeah, I appreciate everybody's time.